I, 25, and 24, sister lost our parents to a car crash caused by a drunk driver 10 months ago. Our parents left everything to my sister, Taylor, and I with a 50-50 split, with a stipulation we would not have control over my parents' assets until we are 25. Until then our Aunt Sue, 53, and Uncle Rob, 63, would have the controlling power of our parents' assets. Sorry, my mind went blank, and I can't think of what that person is called. They are my mom's brother and sister. With me being 25, I have full control of my half of my parents' assets. However, my sister does not. If she wants to spend any money, she has to get approval from Sue and Rob. It took about 8 months for us to get our inheritance and finally have all of my parents' assets figured out. My Uncle Rob wanted all of us to all go out as a family and celebrate my parents one last time, now that their ashes are spread and all of the legal and paperwork stuff is finished with. We all go to dinner, my mom's whole side of the family, about 20 of us. All throughout dinner Aunt Sue would make comments about how much money Taylor and I have at such a young age. I asked her multiple times to stop, she would apologize and change the topic. When dessert finally comes, Aunt Sue asks, well, your parents were paying for Alex's, 20, her son, college. How should we get that figured out for the fall semester? Taylor and I knew my parents were paying for his school. We also knew Alex has almost failed out twice and has only completed 1 full year of classes, despite him being in college for 3 years. Taylor and I both knew my parents were going to stop paying for Alex's college since he wasn't taking it seriously and they gave him multiple warnings. Taylor looks at Sue and says, can we please talk about this later? This really isn't the time. Aunt Sue got mad and said, you both graduated college and have great jobs and make enough to support yourselves without the money our parents left for you. She said some other stuff, but to summarize, she thinks we need to learn how to be less selfish and shared our inheritance with the rest of the family and that we have to pay for Alex's college since that is what my parents said they would do. At this point I blew up. I told my aunt that she needs to stop asking about the money. It isn't money our parents gave us, it is the money we inherited because our parents died. I would trade all the money in the world to have just another year with them, let alone the 20+ years they should have had. I told her that she was being a greedy idiot and that I would do everything in my power to make sure that she never gets a penny from the inheritance and that neither Taylor and I would be paying for Alex's college moving forward. I leave the table, pay for the whole dinner and leave the restaurant. Taylor follows me out and we leave. Neither one of us has reached out to Sue or the rest of our family and they have not reached out to us. If these people are the trustees of your parents' estate, I would strongly recommend you contact a lawyer to get them removed immediately, citing this incident. At the least, put a freeze on the assets. Your aunt and uncle could well steal the money from the inheritance prior to your sister reaching 25 and receiving her share. After the assets are gone they will be almost impossible to recover. I'd also recommend investing the money and only using the dividends in order to build a solid financial portfolio. New money is extremely easy to blow. Source: I'm currently a trustee for a large estate and have seen this happen with other trusts and estates. In fact, a trustee stealing money from an estate happened to me. Not the idiot. Your aunt is being greedy, insensitive, rude and lazy. Your parents may have been paying for your cousin's college, but that does not mean you are obligated to. If your parents intended for the money to pay for your cousin's college they would have left that in their will. Your aunt and cousin should quit being lazy and get a job so they can pay for your cousin's college themselves. I'm so sorry for your loss and unfortunately the horrible extended family you ended up with. They sound like vultures. Her selfishness has no limits and the fact that no other relatives stood up for you too after this great loss is heartbreaking. You know what your parents would do, not pay for her ungrateful brat schooling, and I'm sure they would be ashamed at how they've treated you. If no one reaches out to mend anything, let those relationships die. Backstory. In March of 2020, me and my, now, husband were engaged, living in a condo, and working office jobs. When the pandemic hit, both our jobs moved online and our wedding planning came to a halt. We decided to pivot our plans, cancel our big wedding, and follow our biggest dream instead. We bought a used short school bus, spent a few months converting it into a tiny home, sold all our stuff, and hit the road. We also had a very untraditional micro wedding. There were 19 people there. We said our vows on top of a mountain, caught and roasted fish over a fire for dinner, and drove off in Otis, our schoolie, with a just married flag. One of the other untraditional things about our wedding was my dress. Otis has very limited storage, but I knew I would want to keep my wedding dress for sentimental reasons, so I purposely got married in something I thought I could wear again. I chose a sage green satin wrap dress that I could hike in. It doesn't look like a wedding dress, but it was perfect for our day. The conflict. It's now been nearly a year of us living in Otis and exploring our country, as much as restrictions allow. Last week we drove back to our hometown to attend the wedding of my friend Lisa. Because my wedding dress is the only piece of formal wear I still own, and because it isn't white or look like a wedding dress, I wore it to her wedding. The ceremony was beautiful, and I was dressed very similarly to a number of other women there. I even got a few compliments on my outfit. Unfortunately, during the reception, Lisa's mom Jen accosted me, asking how dare I wear a wedding dress to her daughter's wedding, and whether I wanted to make the day about me, since I didn't get a proper wedding. Apparently, Jen had seen my wedding pictures on social media and recognized my dress. I tried to explain to her that it was the only dress I own and that I was 100% there for Lisa, but she didn't want to hear it. She then told a bunch of other people I was wearing my wedding dress. Most folks didn't seem to care, but I did get glares from a few people for the rest of the evening, even from some who had previously complimented me. By the end of the night, I felt very conflicted and like maybe it was rude of me to wear my dress. I did get a moment alone with Lisa and let her know that I meant no disrespect and wanted her to have her day. She said she understood my lifestyle and wasn't bothered. However, it did clearly impact other people, and I've since gotten messages from her mom telling me not to expect to be in any of the wedding photos cause Chess told the photographer to edit me out and that I won't get a free wedding after all. I've asked a few friends what they think and have had mixed answers as to whether I am the idiot or not. Am I the idiot for wearing my wedding dress to another wedding? Not the idiot, but Lisa's mom is. There's a difference between wearing a dress that you got married in and wearing a dress that has no other purpose than being a wedding dress. Years ago, people just wore their Sunday best. Lisa should have a chat with her mom and tell her to shut up. As for the photos, what a shame that she's dictating her daughter's life. Just respond to her message that you weren't wearing a wedding dress. Tell her that your friendship with Lisa is what really matters and that you're not interested in contributing to her, Lisa's mom, drama. That you already have many wonderful pictures of Lisa and yourself and have shared many wonderful memories, and that's all that matters. Then contact a photographer and ask for a picture with you in it and send it to Lisa. Cause I'm just a bit petty. This is ridiculous. Unless everyone at your friend's wedding was also at your wedding, what difference does it make? How could you be taking attention away from the bride by wearing a dress that no one knew until they were told had been your wedding dress, especially since it looked nothing like a traditional one? And your friend's mom was the okay me who told them, which makes it even more ridiculous. This is as stupid as a bride who was offended that her stepmom, who she didn't invite to her wedding, happened to wear a white cocktail dress the day of to an event a few states away that had nothing to do with any wedding. My husband and I had a baby boy 6 months ago. I decided to leave my job and become a stay-at-home mom. Before I left my job, before our son, my husband's brothers and sister had all pressured me to be their emergency contact for their kids' school. And even asked me to leave work early sometimes to babysit their kids after school. I always said no because working in a daycare doesn't mean I can leave whenever I want. Which they appeared to think could happen. Plus they like the idea of someone with a degree in child development and care being in charge of their kids. But now that I no longer work, it's even more an ordeal. My husband sat them down and told them I am not their personal and free babysitter and they cannot expect me to wrangle all their kids, all the different schools myself. That they need to keep paying like always. It didn't help. He spoke to them again. I ended up getting bombarded the other night while I was awake with a crying baby, and I told them via text I didn't sign up to be their babysitter when I married my husband and they needed to accept my no because nothing was going to change. They said I signed up to be part of the family and part of being family is babysitting to help. So I'm the idiot. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. My aunt was a registered childminder, like private home daycare in UK. My entire childhood she was asked to take care of me twice. Both occasions were last-minute emergencies. Once, my parents were stuck in a snowdrift waiting for rescue. The second time my mother had been admitted to the hospital. Those are scenarios where you call free emergency childcare from a relative. What you describe as a paid-for, planned, and contracted service. Hell no, they are trying to take advantage of you. I'm so glad your husband is on your side. If it is causing you distress, block their numbers in my opinion. It's not that big of a deal in my opinion that they will hold it against you, and if they do, just keep going on with your new family. If things work out and you are willing, just start charging them, but I wouldn't do it every day if it messes with what you have going on. Take care of yourself first. I'm so glad you have a clear boundary and have since the beginning, and that your husband is backing you up. You are not the idiot, but they collectively are. It might be time to start using asked and answered when they bring it up again. They have already assumed, asked and pushed, and the answer was and is still no. In this case, no is a complete sentence. Hold tight to your boundary and keeping calmly asserting it every time they try to cross it again. For some reason these people don't seem to have any idea what one is, or how to respect it. 3 years ago, it came out that my married brother-in-law was having an affair with my sister because she decided to contact my in-laws to announce her pregnancy to them. It also turned out that some of my family knew and were helping it happen. When it all came out, my brother-in-law threw my sister under the bus and completely cut her off. He had nothing to do with his daughter, and neither did his family. My sister and some family members went on a rampage and sent his heavily pregnant wife nasty messages and evidence of their affair. In the end, I was put in a position where I had to choose between cutting off my entire family, even the ones who had no knowledge of the affair, or losing my marriage. My husband and I are currently going through a divorce, so yeah. My brother-in-law recently passed away. My sister, who is still convinced that he loved her and that they were soulmates, is desperate to go to his funeral. She claims she wants to go so her daughter can't say goodbye to her father. She knows his family won't give her any information, so she is pushing me to ask my husband for information, since he has been contacting me a lot recently. I refuse to because I don't want to be put in the middle of any more of her drama. She's already cost me a lot. My sister is now lashing out at me, but surprisingly, my parents, who were appalled by her affair, are also on her side. They think I should find out for my niece's sake. Am I the idiot for continuing to refuse? Not the idiot. I echo everyone's comments about keeping yourself out of it completely. But also have some consideration for the widow and brother-in-law's family. They are holding the funeral and dealing with the profound grief of a sudden death that I'm sure was made worse by the devastating fallout of an affair from 3 years ago. That your sister wants to crash the funeral and rub his family's face in her drama is just obscene. Your sister is not a good person. No side chick is, but she seems to be on an entirely different level if her actions ended up costing your marriage too. If no one has put her in her place yet, then someone should. Same thing about your parents, you need to set them straight. Honestly, for the sake of brother-in-law's wife and other kids, since it sounds like there are multiple and presumably some are old enough to remember this funeral, let someone know that sister tried to get this information from you so that she may succeed in getting it from someone else. Just so they can put someone on the lookout to quietly redirect sister away. Your niece is too. She doesn't remember bio dad. And honestly, it is going to be much worse for her if she shows up and people start shouting that they aren't wanted there. She doesn't need to hear it had age that she isn't wanted. Your niece is too. I have a few memories from when I was around 3. One is from a funeral of a distant relative of my dad's, so things might be different if your niece knew her father. I was standing on a stool looking into the open casket because that was what everyone else in line was doing, and asked my mom, why did they carve such a large wooden doll? She tried to explain, even pointed to the large photo in the ring of flowers. I'm pretty sure I called her a liar before going to the corner to call her. Everyone is different, but this is not for your niece. This is for your sister, who knowingly had an affair with a married man and is still deluded enough to believe he loved her. Don't hurt that grieving family any more than they already have been. So, I've been disabled since my mid-teens. The nature of my condition means that I have good spells and bad spells. When I'm well I work, when I'm bad I can't, and I have no income apart from disability benefits. This isn't a lot of money in the UK, and since I struggle to maintain several years of paid employment at a time, I'm stuck in lowish paying work. Knowing that my situation isn't going to get better, my lovely parents decided to buy me a small, manageable house with 3 bedrooms. The idea was that I could rent out the spare rooms and would have a steady source of income, no matter how long I was between jobs or how difficult the government made it to claim benefits. It's worked well and has allowed me to actually start putting money away for my retirement. My parents aren't worried about me falling through the cracks when they're gone and can relax about my future. I met my partner 10 months ago. They're lovely, but we're disagreeing about what would happen if they were to move in with me. They don't want to live with my housemates and feel it's too studenty to house share. But they don't think they should have to pay anything other than 50% of the bills because I don't have to worry about a mortgage. They're super idealistic and tend to get focused on how things should be rather than deal with the practicalities of how things are. For me, the reality is that when I have another flare-up, I'll have no money. I won't have any work, no rent, and they earn enough that I won't qualify for benefits either. They're sort of sympathetic, but mainly focused on how unfair the system is, rather than getting on board with making the best of it. I do see where they're coming from. I wouldn't choose to live with strangers if I didn't have to. The system is utterly flawed and needs changing. It doesn't seem right to charge rent to a partner and creates a weird power dynamic. People should be more open to flexible working and hiring people with disabilities. I agree on all these points. But I need to eat and can't live on principles. The way I see it, they can move in, split my bills and play nice with my housemates. Have the place be for just us and pay me rent for one of the rooms. Or not move in at all and keep everything separate. Not the idiot. You've been with your partner 10 months and want you to throw away the security net your parents so kindly set up for you. You know if you do this it will affect your relationship with your parents negatively. That is not what a good partner does. It's nice that they have all of these lovely ideas, but unless they have already proved that they will support you financially when you are having a spell, you can't take them at face value. Honestly, it sounds like they want to live in your place and only pay half utilities. Yeah, they say they'll cover your share, but you don't know that for sure. Please don't rush into anything, at least not until you have enough saved up to support yourself completely in case they bail when times get tough. If partner wants to move in and have the roommates move out, then they need to pay the amount of money equal to what the roommates were paying. Anything less is a no-go. This is your only source of income. Plus, 10 months is awfully soon to be discussing moving in together, let alone making significant financial decisions. I suggest you just keep things separate for at least another year, but in any case, do not lower your income just so this person can live with you. It's good that you are discussing things like this and how you would handle finances, etc. I think in your situation, you shouldn't move in with anyone you haven't been dating for quite some time, years probably, once the honeymoon period is over and you are going to be permanent partners with joint finances. I totally understand not wanting to live with roommates, but there has to be an understanding, possibly marriage or akin to it, that means they are going to be there for you and take care of you. And that you get to retain your house in the event of a breakup or divorce. Not paying rent is something that only married or legally committed partners should do. Until you're at that point, they pay whatever rent is fair for those rooms if they don't want roommates.